Now, NHS chiefs have warned that Royal Mail cuts, all to do with second-class post and second deliveries, more importantly, could put patient safety at risk because new figures suggest late letters are the cause of a quarter of missed hospital appointments.
Yes, health leaders have dubbed the plans worrying as the health service faces an official backlog of 7.6 million.
Well, let's talk to political commentator and former MEP Patrick O'Flynn, who's here. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
I don't know how you tackle this because it's obviously Royal Mail is a private company now. So how do you tell that private company it needs to do better to protect us, the patients?
Well, my view is that it's a bit ridiculous in the modern age, and I'm by no means a kind of cutting-edge technology person, that the NHS is relying on often second-class post for, as I read of the details in the Telegraph, 83 million notifications of appointments a year. Second-class post is the way they're getting in touch with these patients. Now, nearly everyone has a mobile phone. Nearly everyone is online in some regard, and I accept that it would be older cohorts of people tend to be more present in the NHS inpatients or outpatients categories, and yet surely those people must have one dependable family member who can be contacted that way. I think, the Telegraph says that 3% of these 83 million second-class letters arrive after the date of the appointment, right, which is where they get their 2 million figure from, missed appointments, a quarter of the missed appointments, right? But if you think about that, that means probably another 10 million letters will arrive the day before the appointment when people might already be committed, might not open their letter. It's, to my mind, this raises big questions about the NHS, how it communicates with its patients. And remember, every appointment is with the precious time of a really highly qualified, highly paid consultant. In my view, the NHS should not be depending on second-class snail mail to tell anyone whatsoever as their sole means of communication. This is when your appointment...
But it probably isn't the sole means of communication. I mean, this is the thing. I have to say, whenever I have an appointment, I get a text message, I get an email, and I get a message on the NHS app, as well as normally 2 or 3 letters that come through.
Well, but somehow these 2 million missed appointments, that must imply in those cases, surely, either the person is being irresponsible and just using a late letter as an excuse, or that is the only notification they are getting. So I would be tempted to tell those health chiefs, go and sort your communications out, because to my mind, if the Royal Mail can't make it work, can't keep the company afloat, without making this reduction, I don't personally see a reduction in the frequency of delivery of second-class post being a deal breaker. I think for most of us, the deal breaker is the cost of a stamp for first-class post.
Look, I want to talk to you about the honeytrap scandal in Westminster. Dr. Luke Evans is now the second MP to have come out and said he's been sent explicit, unsolicited messages, and he's reported it to the police. What do you make of it?
Well, I guess Dr. Evans must have had his details, or the implication is handed over by William Wragg, right? So he's a completely innocent victim of a very sinister plot which may have a foreign state behind it. Clearly, it's been taken incredibly seriously. But to me, it throws the spotlight back onto Wragg, right, who is being portrayed mainly by the Tory high-ups as a victim in all this, and obviously he's partly a victim because he took some approach as being a kind of honest, sort of flirtatious approach to him, and yet it was incredibly reckless behaviour from his part. It was
reckless, but the minute you start to be blackmailed, what would any of us do?
Well, I would hope, certainly for an elected office holder, you would immediately go to the police. You wouldn't then start divulging colleagues' personal details. I think this MP really should reflect on whether, even for this last 6 months or so in his term before he steps down anyway, that he's the right person to represent his parliamentary seat.
Should he lose the whip?
Well, I think he should lose the whip. You know, they take the whip off all sorts of people, like Lee Anderson, just for expressing slightly clumsily a view that millions of people in the country agree with, was cast into outer darkness. I do think William Wragg should lose the whip, and I do actually think there should be a by-election.
You need to bear in mind he's a man who is not necessarily very well, though, who's really struggled with his mental health. He's talked about that. He's talked about it on GBNews. And actually, you can only imagine then what he's going through now. I mean, I'd be surprised if he actually managed to make it back before the next election. He's probably off not very well at the moment.
Right, well, I'm going to perhaps outrage more sensitive viewers by saying I take a bit more of a hard-line view of that as well. If someone is not mentally robust, and as this MP was, you're actually in your 20s and you're putting yourself up for Parliament, and there have been other cases as well of parliamentarians newly elected in their 20s who haven't been able to do the job because their mental health isn't robust enough. I think the taxpayers have got a right to be represented by people who've thought carefully about whether they're up to it, whether their mental health is robust enough. And it's just carte blanche by mental health in question, oh, all right, you're a victim then, we don't care, we're not having an MP for the next few months. I think that's all wrong. I think it's me from the politician. They should think more carefully, get more experience, be more robust, or duck out.
OK. Tough line, Patrick O'Flynn. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed.